Hi, I'm so happy to see you. Welcome back to art class. It's Miss Simpson. I'm really excited to work with you today on some drawings of natural objects. So we're going to do something called observational drawing, which is just observing closely some kind of object from nature and drawing it. This is kind of like scientific drawing a little bit. We're going to be exploring and studying different objects that we can find from nature. And I've got a bunch of objects. You can just draw mine if you'd like, but you may have some at home that you really like. Do you have a shell collection? That's a good thing to draw. Or leaves that you find outside that are very beautiful. Now that it's coming into fall, you can find some different fall leaves sometimes. Or there are still flowers around, all kinds of beautiful things. Nature is amazing. So we're going to work today on drawing some different natural objects. We're just going to use a pencil and plain white paper today and an eraser. I'm going to ask you to use something called whisper lines, and we'll talk about that in a minute. That's where you press very softly with your pencil. So it's much easier to erase if you need to. Because we're only using pencil, that's important to practice using a gentle line with your pencil. So first, let's look at these different drawings. This is a drawing by a young person, and it's an observational drawing of different plants. And this is a drawing by an artist named Andy Warhol. And this is a lot of views of an onion. So I brought an onion with me. We can look carefully and closely at this onion. It's round, so we can use the same ideas that we used when we were thinking about drawing food and drawing shapes recently. But there's all kinds of interesting details in here too. Lots of layers, beautiful lines. So we can draw something that's very simple, a simple shape, with a lot of care and consideration, and do some really beautiful drawings of it. I think just observing carefully and using your scientific minds and eyes will help you figure out what to do. Here's a nice example of a drawing of a flower. And she looked very carefully and closely and used different types of lines when she was drawing that flower. So beautiful. So I want you to use your observation skills. Look very closely at the different things that we're going to explore and draw as carefully as you can. And you don't have to be in a hurry. There are lots of really cool details that you'll find when you look closely and carefully. All right, let's get started. Daisy and I are in Nicene Marks Park in Aptos with our friends, and we saw these mushrooms. Look at those. What can you notice about those things? You see any shapes and colors? So cool. Check out this flower. Look at those mushrooms. Whoa. What do you see when you look at these objects? Lots of natural objects here. If you've got some at home, you're welcome to take those out and use them also. When you look closely at those shells, what do you see? Where are the lines that you see? Just draw what you see. Make sure to use your whisper lines. Press lightly with your pencils because it'll be much easier to erase if you need to. Have so much fun too. There are so many beautiful shapes and lines. It helps to think about when we were drawing shapes recently, because there are lots of shapes we can find here. That tomato is round. It's very much a circle. The shells have some round forms in them, curved lines, lots of organic shapes here. Take your time, we're not in a hurry. Look as closely as you can when you're drawing too. Before we begin drawing, I want to show you something called a whisper line. It's really important to use a whisper line when you're drawing. It really helps you with details. Because if we have to erase and we write really hard, listen to this. Now that's a dark, hard line. Okay, listen to this one. Could you hear the difference in between those lines? This one was so much quieter, and it looks quieter. It's a lighter line. This one is very dark. So let's try to erase both of those and see what happens. I'm gonna first erase the darker one on the top. Oh, that's hard to erase. I might eventually get it, but I can still see those lines even after I've erased it. Yeah, that doesn't really erase very well. So I wonder what would happen if I erased the lighter line, the line that was more of a whisper. Let's try that one. Oh, well, I can hardly see that. I can hardly see where those letters were. So if I just press really lightly with my pencil, it's a lot easier for me to erase it. That's what I like to call a whisper line, because you can still see that dark one, can't you? It's pretty dark. So if I was drawing and I wanted to erase a line that I didn't really like, then it would be much harder for me to erase that. Okay, let's try this observational drawing. So I'm gonna draw as many of these different objects as I can. And if you would like to draw along with me, that would be awesome. Don't forget too to pause the video when you need to catch up. So let's start by drawing, let's just start by drawing that tomato. I'm drawing a light line. I can kind of sketch or draw a couple of lines, that's okay. And I'm thinking about where all those parts are, observing carefully. Think about the little stem. It's a pretty good drawing of a tomato, and I'm not in a hurry at all, but I'm also not really worried about making it look exactly like that tomato. That's okay. And if I feel like I have too many lines in there, I can erase some of them. Because I used really light whisper lines, that's a lot easier to do. Okay, let's work on more objects here. And remember, pause the video when you need to catch up. I'm gonna put a picture of a lot of these things at the end of the video too, so you can pause at the very end of the video if you'd like to. You need a little bit longer, but you can always pause at any point. Okay, just gonna keep on drawing, so it's a good time for you to draw too. You can see while I'm drawing these different things, I'm not worrying too much about them looking exact, but I'm trying to pay attention to every detail that I see. I'm also not tracing them. A lot of the time, people are tempted to trace a seashell or something like that. It ends up not actually being easier to draw it if you trace it. It's a different thing than drawing it. And while it's still fun, it's not quite the same. You don't get quite the same drawing that you would get if you just observed with your eyes. So keep on drawing until you're done, okay? Make sure you pause the video if you need to. Give yourself some patience. Be kind to yourself. You're doing such a great job of observing these natural objects, or if you're drawing natural objects from your house. Super excited for you. It's so fun, isn't it? So keep on drawing, keep up the good work. And remember, this is just about drawing what you see. So whatever you're seeing, that's an important thing. And it's awesome. Thank you so much for working so hard on your drawing today. You did such a great job. Your observations of the natural objects are so good. You drew some really good lines to describe all the different things that you saw too. I'm really excited. This is so fun. So make sure to draw whatever you want to, whenever you can, because there are all kinds of cool things that we can draw. And the more times that we draw something and the more drawings that we do, the better we get. Okay, it was really fun to work with you today, and I'm looking forward to seeing you soon. Have a great rest of your day.